Bring your family together with a backyard game court from Sport Court of Austin. Moms love Sport Court because it's an active and safe place for the kids to gather. Dads love Sport Court because he gets to play like a kid again. Kids love Sport Court because all kids love to play. So give your kids a safe place to hang out and have fun. Call 512-335-9779 or go to sportcourtofaustin.com for more information. If you build it, they will play.
Well, and Coach, when you talk about rewards and you talk about our parent portal community and hoping that they get something to take out of this, I guess one of the things that is important is to remember that, why do we seek rewards? What is a reward to us? And I'm reminded of an early story that I had with my kid, my youngest one, and I think the other two were around also. But we just had a day back when my youngest guy was still at pre-K. We had been going through a lot of just upheaval in routines, and we'd started the school year, and that's always kind of a challenging time. You've gone from a summer program into now you're a little more rigid and structured, and kids aren't necessarily going to bed early yet, and they're not realizing how important that sleep is in that routine of getting into their sleep patterns, and getting up in the morning is just harder. There's no doubt about it. And it becomes hard to get that breakfast done quickly and get those clothes going. And sure enough, we had one of those mornings where, my little guy was just not in a good mood. I could tell it. And he just was not interested, was struggling with breakfast. He was not excited to go to school, which is a little bit unusual for him. Usually school is a big thing to him. And I could tell that we were struggling. And then we got to a point where I knew I didn't have one of his favorite shirts. And he's a little bit picky on what he wears, which I'm kind of glad about, but I'm also it makes life kind of interesting. And sure enough, I found a shirt for him to wear, and he was not having it. He was not excited about it, was not interested in even putting that shirt on. So we went through some tears and some drama trying to figure this out. We were already, hitting on the getting to school on time issues. And I had no answers. I couldn't magically go produce a shirt. I didn't have really any other kind of shirts choices, I guess. And, but I did think of one little thing that does make a difference. And all three of my boys are huge peanut butter and jelly fans. And I was a big peanut butter, still am. I love peanut butter and jelly. It's one of my favorite meals of all time. I could take that over a steak sometimes. And sure enough, I grabbed, started having to get lunches done. And I announced that I could make the most incredible triple-decker PBJ for my little guy, for Jason, if he wanted it. And oh my gosh, it was night and day. It was absolute night and day between just all the troubles he was going through and then the excitement that he had about getting a triple-decker PBJ for lunch. So we got it all made, got it put in, got in the cars. Everyone's off and we're running, getting from point A and point B. And when you got not older kids, when your kids are just enough age groups, distance in age groups, you end up having to go to 3 different campuses, which makes life interesting too. So got to the final destination drop off for Jason, went in to see the teacher, decided, as part of the startup routine, I wanted to make sure and just have a smooth handoff, make sure no more tears were coming. And we got there, handed it off, got him in his room, and had a chance to talk to the teacher a few minutes. And I mentioned that Jason had a little bit of a tough start to his morning. And but I shared with her the excitement and the reward that we came up with of a triple-decker PBJ for the day, and how that just changed this whole morning. So she said to me as I was kind of leaving, heading back out the door, she goes, well, if you well, I said to her, let's make sure I get the story right. I said to her, well, I'm off now. I'm going to go try to find my triple decker PBJ. And she kind of smiled and laughed. And she said, well, if you find one, see if you can find me one too. So, um, triple decker PBJs are they're not an everyday deal. They're a reward, and they're an opportunity for us to find some joy out of life sometimes when life can not always be that joyful. The cold front can be out there, but I think it goes back to the idea that um, every now and then you have to kind of look for things that put a little bit of a reward in your life. Hopefully, the Parent Portal Show can be the triple decker PBJ for some of our parents and our student athletes. Buying or selling a home is a bit of a challenge in today's changing Austin market. If you're moving to Austin or selling in Austin, you need to reach out to one of my long-term friends and the guy who helped me, Chris Ott, with the Ott Group of Keller Williams Realty. I needed a professional with knowledge of the Austin area, and Chris was the right agent for the job. Chris, his business partner, Teresa Ott Basso, and their team have helped thousands of people. The Ott family is celebrating over 35 years in Austin and plan to provide their real estate services for many more years to come. Their mantra is, your move matters, and that is what they focus on. Go to their website at theottgroup.com and get connected with professionals dedicated to taking care of you. That's TheOttGroup.com. You can also call 512-222-6881 or email them at info@theottgroup.com to get connected with them today. Let them know that Stephen with the Parent Portal Show sent you and start working on your next move.
What a great story. I mean, you're watching your kid grow, and you said it as a parent, when something's up with your kid. They whatever is their kind of like normal routine, and it doesn't seem like it's fitting or working the way that they want it, and they don't really always know how to express that. And it's, as a parent, to be able to see that and then go, hey, I've got to help them out. I've got to help her out. And to, that's parenting right there.
Yeah.
And the reward is that as a parent, you were able to make a difference for your kid. Didn't have to do with anything on the field. Didn't have to do with anything, how fast or how far they could throw the ball. It had to do with you connecting with your kid and caring. And those moments are huge for parents. For kids, it's like, I'm not alone. You're not alone. Somebody gets you. Somebody understands that you need a little bump, and it's huge. I'm an old man, but I can still remember the simple joys of like things that pleased me when I was a kid. And it's, with all the pressure that our kids are under, it's hard. Growing up is hard, is a hard job. And to be able to have someone get you and someone know you and make you feel validated and make you feel included and worthy. Those are huge things as parents that for a kid, it's vital they get those things. And kudos to you for recognizing your kid and knowing that they needed a little something and being able to give them the triple PB and J and it make the difference for them. That's a great story.
Yeah. Well, one last takeaway, and then we'll jump into our news for the day. But the only challenge it seems like nowadays is the price tag of those triple decker PBJs seem to get a little higher once they get older. Hopefully it's not always an expense, but I've noticed some of the toys and gifts and things that we get to when we get into the high school age group, there seems to be some some cost to it. But it's the simple pleasures, right? So it doesn't always have to be an expensive flat panel monitor or the latest 3D printer. All of those topics have been in our household lately, but no, you're right. It is nice to connect with your kid in a way that how they what puts a smile on their face, and being able to deliver that. So with that said, Coach, let's jump into the news. Let's jump into this crazy world of NIL and NCAA, and see if we can't sort through some of this. What do you think about the Fan Nation article about our great quarterback, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers?
Well, he's back, right? And
Right.
it's we were not saying that Texas is back. We're talking about an athlete on Texas, and a big one at this point. This year had a great season. We're talking about Quinn Ewers, of course. Had a great season this year and got him all the way to the playoffs, and was 1 second and 1 play away from being able to play in that championship game. But from that, just really solidified his presence in the college football world, and made the choice to come back. And as a result, he made the announcement this week that he would be coming back, and he did it pretty clever, if you will, with Panini trading cards as a subtle, in the background kind of motif of being able to say, "Hey, I'm coming back," and he signs his trading card. I'm coming back, and just really, really neat to see him be able to, make the choice to come back, work to be able to create even more buzz in his world and for Texas as well. But I mean, geez, you got to think Panini has, I don't know how many people they have in their NIL agreements, but they are creating a stable of athletes that are with their trading cards, and it's for Ewers, it's recognition. I mean, he's going to be competing for a national championship hopefully next year. He's going to be working towards the Heisman Trophy, and he's got all this buzz, and now he's got Panini in his back pocket.
Yeah, how cool is that? Well, and congrats to Panini for grabbing what is absolutely an NIL moment on one of the most important NFL draft decisions for the football year, right? I mean, that was a big statement. A lot of people, I think the hype, look, I didn't need to see that yesterday to know that Quinn Ewers was coming back. I think the hype about him leaving and going on was just hype, way too much. I don't think there was that. I don't think there was that much that he risked that he was leaving, but you never know. It could have gone the other way. Who knows? But for him to, make it in a very classy and a very well done way, it was just exciting. It was just cool to see something first class put together, presented in a way, really nice little statement. You know what? I tell you what, Coach, I'm going to read it. I think it's well done, and I'm just going to read it out loud. It says, "Dear Longhorn Nation, ever since I was a kid, I dreamed of playing football at the University of Texas. I couldn't be more thankful for all my teammates and coaches, and I'm beyond grateful to be in the position I'm in. God has shown me who I am these past 2 years that I've been here, and through the ups and downs, these fans and this university has always had my back. And with that being said, I'm coming back, hook 'em." And I loved it. That was awesome. Probably the one other thing about this is it's the recognition that he is probably a strong candidate for a Heisman Trophy favorite in 2024. And certainly there's no doubt he'll be a top NIL earner next year.
Yeah, a lot there. Well, he's, looking at if he came out right now and declared for the NFL draft, where would he be? Well, I
Yep.
mean, you got to think he'd be in the top 5 to 6 quarterbacks in the country. Would he be number one person draft? I don't think so right
Mm.
now. So he's going to be playing for, rookie salaries,
Hmm.
and I would guess my guess would be is that his NIL value is far above what the NFL rookie salary is, and he has a chance to come back and win that Heisman Trophy, and then put himself in an incredible spot as a
Yeah.
very top 5 draft pick, and then be able to create even more of a financial nest egg for him for the future. I think it's a smart move. I think he's getting good counsel from somebody. If you just look at how he came into the program, had long blonde hair, and kind of
Yeah.
that Kenny Stabler comes to mind whenever I think about him. Kenny the Snake Stabler comes into mind, and kind of a gunslinger look, and then see the change that he's had in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
The maturity, the
Sure.
people that he's surrounded himself with. It's reflective in everything that he's doing right now, and I think he's got himself in a great place off the field, and he's done a really good job on the field. So it's exciting to have him back. It's exciting to see what his next steps are, and uh, it just tells you that the money that is being invested in this kid is really starting to show the payout.
Yeah. No, we're it's exciting times. Looking forward to next year's program. All right. Well, how about we'll come off that joyous moment and we'll talk a little bit about our good friends at the NCAA and our good. I hate to use the term buddy. I think that's maybe a little too facetious, but NCAA President Charlie Baker, who's supposed to appear at a hearing next week for the NIL discussions with Congress.
Yeah. Wow. It's been a minute, right? We ain't got to talk about Charlie for a while.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it feels like, rinse, repeat, hang on the clothesline, but there's a lot of that. They've been going at this since May to try and be able to find some type of way to get a legislative component into NIL and transfer portal and everything else. And they, of course, they came out in May and started speaking before Congress. September/October, they were back, and now we're in the season, I guess, of 2024 where they're going to try again. And they've come out with one of the senators, representatives, Bill Arakis from Florida. They've approached him, and they found some footing with this representative, and said, "Hey, could you help us here?" And basically, what they're trying to do is the same thing. They can sugarcoat it, and dress it up, and put lipstick on it, but it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that that Charlie's facing is it's coming back to, he doesn't want the NCAA doesn't want the athletes to be considered employees. And Bill
Yep.
Arakis is like, I'm willing to help you, but I'm not going to help you there. He doesn't feel that. And so they've got some momentum moving towards, being able to try and find something that they could do. But, the things that the NCAA is proposing is really kind of out there. And one of the most crazy things that came from this is the idea that they're going to put this new entity out there, which would be called the U.S. Intercollegiate Athletic Commission.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that? I mean, you're going to change the name and still try and do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, there is no easy solution here. There is no easy answer, because for decades you took advantage of all these kids. You didn't
Yep.
give them anything. And now you're kind of over the barrel and you don't like it. And, you have coaches leaving programs and you have universities screaming, we can't compete with the big boys in town. And no, what you're not hearing a lot of is a lot of complaints from the athletes because they're finally getting something. Whatever, not everybody's going to get a $1.5 million kind of NIL deal, but they're getting something. And they're not, here's the bigger part, they're not getting in trouble because they're making money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and let's be clear, you're not hearing a lot from current athletes, but a lot of past athletes are involved in these court lawsuits that say, "Hey, you kept us from getting money." And of course, EA Sports is what kicked that all off when kids their faces were going on to an NCAA EA Sports software, and they were getting nothing for it. And EA Sports kind of understood that. They were willing to pay them for it. Now, that's a whole other bundle of issues. But, this is so typical. First of all, this is the third draft of kind of the same junk that they've been pulling together. Now they've created this intercollegiate athletics commission. This is so typical Washington, D.C. stuff. They're not, instead of having just the NCAA to worry about, now you go with this IAC governing body. And, oh, by the way, they're not even involved when it becomes third parties and the agents who are the ones that are going to break the rules. Now you get to bring the FTC in. Well, the FTC is not going to handle this in a timely manner at all. So it just so dilutes the ability to have effective, timely. That's a key to this. That's a key to all this stuff. None of this is timely. The government is so slow in response. Heck, we can't even get them to do something about Facebook or TikTok. You think they're going to step in a timely manner and help solve problems with kids who are getting taken advantage of by agents and third parties? Crazy silliness.
Yeah, it's gross, right? And like I said, if they probably could have averted a lot of this had they got out in front of it, but there was no desire. Why do we need to get out in front of it? We're fine, And once that first lawsuit hit, it changed everything, and now they are playing from behind. And those presidents and the colleges and coaches and everything else that always are paid to have a plan. It's like, well, if this coach leaves, we got a short list already ready. And all those people that are paid to have a plan, they don't have one. Their plan is like, we don't have one right now.
Yeah.
Because if they did, it would already be in place. And it's hard to imagine what the future is going to be with them continuing to being reactive as opposed to like leading from the front. And anything other than just saying, hey, we don't want to consider the athletes employees, that's the best you got. That's it. And we want it to go back to the way that it was. That's your answer. That's your answer. That's not a very good answer. We need leadership in these moments.
Yeah. Well, I agree, Coach. And we'll save it for another episode. But, we're talking about legal collusion. We're allowing the top of the food chain, the owners, or not the owners, the universities, the collectives, the people who are in the money to keep the money is what this is all about. And that's what NCAA has been doing for years and years and years. And this backdoor lawsuit, they kind of opened it up. Now there's 4 of them that are pending that are really taking away a lot of this power. NCAA has gotten hit in the face with it, and they have not been able to respond to it in a way that made sense. So, This is a long story. We'll have plenty to talk about for 2024. This is not going to be over anytime soon. I don't think, as you and I've talked about, Congress isn't going to be able to do anything in an election year to change any of this. This is just a draft that will go nowhere, and it'll be a while before we start to see things. But the courts will start making things happen. That's for sure.
The states will decide it in the courts. I mean, and that's the truth. And we sit here and we kind of talked about this at the beginning of our show today. Is really, how is this affecting my kiddo?
Yeah.
Steven and Coach are sitting here talking about it. What has this got to do with my kid? Well, my guess is that it's going to get a little bit more crazy before it starts to figure out itself.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself as a a parent that has a kid that has value, and this is the time to get your money, because in my opinion, if they start setting limits, they start setting guardrails on this stuff, it may not look the same as it does right now. And if you're in that space where you're offered some money, I mean, obviously you have to consider it, because there are no guarantees that it's going to be out there 3 years from now.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, great point. Let's, just for clarity's sake, we're in the state of Texas, and any high schoolers cannot take money at this point. So we're not advocating breaking the law.
No, I'm not. I am not. I'm just saying that when you are as a parent, that you are, helping your kid when they're making life decisions, you help them with the idea of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, is being able to show them and teach them, hey, do it this way. These are possible rewards that you're going to get out of it.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about it, and we'll talk about it more. There are things that you need to be doing today. There are making sure you understand who is at the table with you in that supporting role, the legal representation, the financial accounting help that you're going to need. If you're going to a table to start discussing contracts, and everyone at that table is in it for themselves and they're all professionals, you got to make sure and have that support team. And again, hopefully Parent Portal Show becomes your resource to come and make sure you're doing those check boxes to have the right people with you. This is the Parent Portal Show.
You've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump, but Allstate agents are seeing ways to save you money on insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage or even driving safely, Allstate agents know how to maximize your savings. They'll share their knowledge as they help you personalize your coverage. Because when it comes to seeing all the ways to save, Allstate agents do it best.
Mike Hammer has over 35 years as an Austin area Allstate agent. Call 512-343-6994 or visit MikeHammer@allstate.com.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.